All right, all right. Peace and blessings, family. Welcome back to another edition of the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. On tonight's episode, we chat with Sister Sheniqua Bynum, an animal and poultry scientist, on what it means to be an animal scientist in the Black community. Tune in for more of this dynamic discussion after this. All right. Again, family, welcome back to the STEM Files. We are the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. I am one of your co-hosts, Jabril Muhammad, aka Brilliant Engineer. I am a mechanical engineer focusing on naval ship fluid systems with a background in material science and engineering, focusing on failure analysis and generally how to make materials strong, faster, things of that nature. Typically joined by my illustrious co-host, Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. He's a biomedical research scientist with a background in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the blood vessels and the heart. Again, family, as always, this is the STEM Files every Thursday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Brilliant Engineer Tariq Cardiac. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at the STEM Files. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at the STEM Files, TheStemFiles. But family, like we always say, the show's not about us. You can see me and hear us talk all the time as we introduce guest after guest after guest. But like always, it is about the guests. So without further ado, I want to introduce to all of us this evening our wonderful guest, Sister Sheniqua Bynum. How you doing, Queen?
Hi, thank you for having me tonight.
Yes. And we can hear you, which is great. I was a little nervous. Thank you so much. So what we're going to do, without further ado, is just get into a bit of your bio, and then we're going to kick off the show from there. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All righty. So we have Sheniqua Bynum. She's a Maryland native and a two-time HBCU graduate from Virginia State University and Tuskegee University. Got some Tuskegee homeboys and homegirls that I work with. She has plans to attend veterinary school in the fall of 2021, focusing on emergency and critical care along with public health. Her ultimate dream job is to work in emergency medicine and become a commissioned corps officer for the United States Public Health Service. Without further ado, we're going to get into it. So, when we talk about the STEM Files, when we open up the STEM Files, we like to always kind of clear terms and clear words, not assume that people know anything or are familiar with certain things and just kind of break things down. So, can you kind of just go into what animal science is, animal and poultry science, and like kind of why the distinction between the two? Because I would think one would fall under the other.
So in terms of animal science, it basically is the understanding of animals itself. So when you think of animal science, some people generally think, oh, you get to play with animals all day. But instead, that's not the case. There is so much more to animal science than just playing with animals. You're taking care of them. You're making sure that there are any potential zoonotic diseases that might transfer from animals to humans. So at the same time, you're taking care of the animal side and also kind of protecting the human side as well. And that's where animal and poultry kind of play together into one. You're basically just protecting the animal aspect from the human aspect, where you're taking care of the animal aspect, and then you're also taking care of the human aspect as well.
Awesome, the animal and the human aspect. So, like you said, animal behavior, understanding how things work on an animal scale. You mentioned in our promo video how there's a discrepancy, or just not as many as we would like, Black people getting into the animal sciences, things like animal husbandry, poultry sciences, things like that. Can you speak to that dilemma and why you feel it's so important for us to really start thinking about animal science as a viable career field and something we should get into?
Okay. When you think about in terms of the Black community involving into the animal science field, generally there's a lack of representation. Right. So, for example, when I was in 7th or 8th grade, my teacher went around next to her entire class what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And I responded with, I want to be the first Black veterinarian. And she paused and looked at me and said, well, I'm pretty sure that's already been accomplished, so you're too late on that.
Right.
And so I responded, have you ever seen one? And so she was quiet. She was like, well, no, but I'm pretty sure they're out there. And I said, well, until you've seen one, I'm going to be, the first one. I'll be the first one. So, and, looking back, I didn't meet my first Black veterinarian until I was a freshman in undergrad. And my advisor was a Tuskegee veterinarian. And so she was my first one, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's just the only one. Are there even more out there? It will be another 2 to 3 years until I met another Tuskegee veterinarian. And now, looking presently, there is an abundance. There's more than there was years ago when you're thinking about terms of Black vet students and even Black veterinarians. I would say that Black veterinarians are considered as, I would say, the unicorns of the world. Okay. They're hard to locate. You don't know where they might be, but they're out there.
Right.
You just have to search for them.
Right. I feel you. We love to get shout outs. Do you remember who that first Black veterinarian you met with, his or her name?
Yes. Her name is Dr. Pamela Ann Thomas Buchanan. Well, she was a 1995 graduate.
Dr. Pamela, you inspired a young giant. I hope you still are a veterinarian still working in that field and continue to inspire so we can have queens and kings such as Sister Sheniqua Brown on with us. Thank you so much for inspiring such a young giant. I see a lot, we know that we talk about Black doctors, right? The need for Black doctors, Blacks in medicine, and being able to show not only representation, also have that cultural sensitivity when we go into the operating room or go into that arena. So when people think about that, I guess you would see that a lot of us may think that Black doctors for people, in a sense, are more important. But we've had a number of people on the show that have talked about land acquisition, farming, and things like that. Can you maybe speak to how, with the growing concern or the growing interest in land ownership by our people, how we may need to rethink the concept or our interest in going into animal science?
Let's see. I would say, take a prime example, when I did my research at Tuskegee University, I worked with limited resource producers, specifically working with in the beef cattle industry. And it's more of, you give back and you learn something from them and they give something to you in the same aspect. So it's for my research, what I basically did was we offered artificial insemination for their beef cattle herds. So we incorporated a reproductive business that was based out of Florida, and we offered these services to these producers and at no charge. And we basically would work hand in hand with them. So at the same time, they could elevate their status in terms of their beef cattle herds at the same time, while giving them the opportunity to understand that artificial insemination and also embryo transfer is an option that they can use for their herd. And at the same time, we offered them hands-on training. So if they wanted to have the opportunity to do artificial insemination or embryo transfer themselves, they were knowledgeable to know how to do it proficiently and accurately.
That's dope. I did not expect that answer. I expected something dope, but so you're talking about literally, the farmer has a problem. You have a certain yield, I guess, in terms of being able to produce cows having calves and everything. And you as the animal scientist, hey, artificial insemination is a particular pathway or potential pathway you could take. You know what I'm saying? And here's how you do so. So now you have the animal scientist, the farmer, or animal husband, and the animal scientist working hand in hand, like peanut butter and jelly, right? To be able to really solve a real issue. That is like, if this is your livelihood and you're relying on this yield, or this production from your livestock, hey, let me come in and do some consultant type work.
Right.
And kind of help to train you on something that can make you more efficient and kind of get you over this hurdle. So that's dope. I never would have thought of that. So for all the farmers out there, all the people who are people who work with animals, on the farmland, think about, animal science, and whether you want your child or like kind of link it with someone, if you have an issue that can help, just like with this situation, with something similar. So that's definitely a great time. I'm gonna keep that in mind. That was dope. I have a few former colleagues that are looking to kind of just continue to build. They're kind of early, or some veterans, and I don't know how much they consider animal science in terms of the actual discipline itself, but
Right.
linking with someone to kind of assist in their endeavors. So that's awesome. Um, we know a bit of the history in terms of HBCUs and agriculture, right, for our people in those types of areas. Can you speak to your experience being a proud two-time HBCU graduate? Some of your experience and kind of how that kind of helped to mold you into not only who you are today in terms of animal sciences, but just as an individual.
So I would definitely say Virginia State, where I got my undergraduate degree from, was basically like the foundation for all of my animal science, and especially my advisor. She definitely played a huge part. She allowed us, well, we had certain classes like veterinary anatomy and veterinary hygiene. So for our veterinary anatomy class, we were able to dissect an animal the whole entire semester. She basically taught us the way that she was taught in vet school. So she said, I want you to know the muscles. I want you to know all the nerves. I want you to know the bones, everything from skin to all the way down to the bottom. And then she even, for classes like our veterinary hygiene class, she allowed us to incorporate our own animals into the hands-on, physical exams. This is what is a normal temperature like for them, what their normal heart rate, respiratory rate is, what looks normal, what's not normal. And then we had, even for we did for dogs, we did cats, exotics. And then she allowed us to take trips down to Tuskegee University, where they had their annual symposium, veterinary symposiums. And we were able to talk with some alumni who are current vets who were either in, the government aspect, military aspect, or just doing private practice.
That's pretty dope. Like you said, the ability to whatever you do, to see yourself in a picture, work with people who look like you for one common cause, one common goal, and to not only just be in the same room, but working to elevate yourself, what I'm saying, as a unit, what I'm saying, and
Right.
move forward. That's definitely awesome and to be commended. I know my brother speaks about things like that in terms of like having people around him. Like he's a mechanical engineering student at Howard. So having that experience similar to, even though it's in a different arena, but that experience where you have people who look like you and you're working in that field that not many of us are present in and
Right.
excelling at it, is an awesome feeling. So I have another question actually from Tariq, the co-host. Shout out to Tariq if you're watching, family. He said, what are the different or some different areas of animal sciences? So let's say we don't necessarily want to be a veterinarian. Is that like the only route, or are there other areas that you can go in animal science or other disciplines present?
Absolutely. Other than, your typical veterinary medicine, you have food animal medicine, you have where you can go into research doing laboratory work with working with breeding colonies of a particular animal, doing, cancer research or any potential vaccine developments for that. You can also work for government agencies. They specifically like United States Department of Agriculture and the agriculture aspect of that. You can be, I would say, a soil scientist. So it's something, and we're basically taking samples of the soil to see if it's lacking any nutrients that might be depleted or an abundance of something in the land of your farm. So that's another aspect as well.
I should have been writing. You gave like 4 to 5 different areas. But that's good because you talked about the food aspect of things, just agricultural aspect. When you think animal science, is like my mind instantly goes to veterinarian because that's the extent, really, outside of meeting you, to my experience with people that are studying animals in some way, shape, or form, right? Unless you're
Right.
just like, like maybe a marine biologist or something like that. But in terms of
Right.
like study animal science as a like discipline, I think about veterinarian. All of us when we go into whatever discipline, whether it be engineering or STEM in general, right? In the engineering, the maths, any technology field, robotics, any of the different sciences, biology, chemistry. We typically have an entry, a point of entry, like how we first, this is what I want to do, or I love this, I'm interested in. Let me get more. What was that entry point for you as it pertains to animal sciences, and is that still where your interest lies today?
So I would say entry. The first thought of this is what I want to become, it wasn't like an aha moment for me.
Okay. Okay.
So it was more of I felt that like I could be myself around animals, and this is something, it was like a stress reliever, and this is something that I just felt comfortable. I could be myself around different types of animals. I always wanted to, oh, are you okay? Let me just, even I was young, I wanted to bandage my dog's leg, and there was nothing wrong with his leg.
Right. Right.
So it was little stuff like that. And as I got older, when I started having doing internships after I graduated from Virginia State, the first doctor that I worked with, he said to always have an open mind in what field you want to go to. I don't want you to just say, oh, that looks like it's fun, let me just go to that field. And he was like, well, he said, personally, I was interested in equine medicine. So he wanted to work with horses. And he says, look at me now. I work with dogs, cats, birds, and exotics, and I don't even mess with horses. Mm-hmm. And so I just took that mindset. So, always be open to something. And when I landed my first job out of college, I worked at an emergency hospital, and I just love it. It's an adrenaline when you hear different types of cases. Everything is different. Each case is unique. And I always have this adrenaline running when we have like a code red that comes in, because you're like, you have to drop everything that you're doing, try to figure out and save this animal's life. And you have to be there with the owner and basically console them, say, hey, what's going on? Can you just provide us all the information so we can transfer that information to the doctor and figure out what's going on?
That's dope. I'm hearing you and the passion that you speak with when you're talking about what it is that you love to do,
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of have to ask the question. So if you had to think about, obviously there's differences between, animals, and human beings, but is there like, I don't know how much experience you may have had with and it pertains to like science or that type of like care with people, but are there things that stand out to you that animals present in terms of challenges or pros that maybe working with people in the in a similar capacity as a doctor or as a care person may not be present?
That I don't know.
No, okay, that's perfectly fine. I'm just thinking like or like I guess better question maybe is like when working with animals, what are some of the things that stick out to you as like the most rewarding aspect of it? Like what jumps out to you? What really makes you like, yo, I love doing this. I'm gonna love doing this for like the rest of my life in terms of like the specific areas of working with them or different animals.
When I would say when owners themselves go out of their way and they're like, when you think it's just a normal day and then, the receptionist come in the back into the treatment area and they're like, hey, this owner dropped off, a box of donuts or like a fruit basket or something. And we're not expecting that. And we're just like, it's the little things like that make us excited.
Right.
It's just the little things.
I feel you. But that's something that I found runs deep or runs or in alignment across a lot of people in the care field. Mm-hmm. Just the small things. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, a card. You know what I'm saying? A shout out. Letting you know that you care. Because like you know, a lot of people who care for people are not always cared for. And that's a whole nother discussion that, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like things like depression or the fact that, oh, I'm so used to you caring for me, I don't even ask how your day is going. I don't know how you're doing. And obviously your patients, you don't even speak the same language. So they're not necessarily going to give you that, maybe a lick in the face or like a wag of the tail or just like a whatever the happy movement is for that animal. But to hear that, like you said, to hear that owner say, "Thank you so much, you know, I really appreciate your time. You know, it feels so much better. You know, we can move forward from here." I can see that being an awesome thing. So you outlined in your bio emergency and critical care, and you know, I think about in the same way how people want to work in the emergency room when you're talking about, you know, being a doctor or like being in the operating room for humans. Why emergency and critical care as opposed to maybe being a primary care type person for animals or something different like that?
Okay, so I work in general practice, and to be quite honest, I didn't have a strong interest. It seemed boring to me, and not boring, but more, it was just a slow pace for me.
I see you.
Compared to emergency medicine, where you're just like, go, 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 go. And generally, when you think about general practice, most of your animals are typically healthy. You know, they're just there for their vaccines or their yearly annual checkups. Whereas for emergency, you know, you'll have a patient come in, hey, here's a healthy 6-week-old puppy, something like that. And then your next patient could be, hey, this is the last time this owner is going to see their pet. You need to be there to, you know, console them, let them know everything's okay. Right. And it's okay to, you know, be emotionally involved in it, especially if you've known that pet forever, because you know, you want the owner to be okay. But I guess you don't want to show that emotion in front of the owners. You know, you have to basically bury that emotion and then go on to your next patient, which might be a totally different case. And I think that's what I love about emergency, because it could be a good day, and then your last patient, you have to assist a doctor with a euthanasia.
You know, I swear, like if I was a betting man and bet some money, I was like, she gonna say it was boring. I was like, and the thing was that's what I think about. We talk about emergency stuff. You don't know what you'll see.
Right.
Come in, or animals in this case, people come in the animals, broken leg, or got a combination fracture, or a combination of things have occurred, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's like I literally am testing myself all the time. I don't know what's going to come in, and it's putting me in a position where my heart rate might be increased, right? I'm a little bit disheveled. I have to calm myself down. I'm always on my toes. So a lot of people thrive in situations where their back is against the wall and they have to perform, because someone or some things, life or very livelihood is in your hands, and you have to be the best version of yourself.
Right.
So that adrenaline rush, but not so much like it's exciting, but the fact of the matter is real time assistance in a moment that really matters, right?
Absolutely.
Versus kind of like, you know, okay, this is like these animals are generally healthy. I'm kind of dealing with checkups, and there's nothing really to kind of like challenge me, you know.
Right.
So that's very real. That's very real. I want to thank everyone in the chat dropping comments. We have, again, a former guest of ours, Dr. Gladys Delancey Bolding. She posed a question to you. She said, do you have any interest in wildlife explorations as far as research?
As far as research, I have thought about actually going over to, it's a country in Africa where they do wildlife rehabilitations for baby elephants and baby rhinos. I have actually thought about that as just just to get a feel for the wildlife aspect. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And that was something too. I'm glad that you brought that up, and I hope that answers your question, Dr. Bolding. Thank you for posing it. But like, I want to speak to those listening who maybe be in high school or even middle school, or even in early college, right? We're still trying to figure out what they want to do. They want to know, like, okay, what goes into like the coursework for animal science or poultry science, right? What can I expect, and what should I be focused on being great at in terms of core disciplines to be able to achieve as you have in animal science. So can you speak to kind of like the coursework and kind of some things to expect as it pertains to different classes and just different skill sets you should be looking to build?
Absolutely. So for at my university, my degree was in agriculture. So I had a general background of agriculture classes where I took ag econ. I've taken intro to agriculture, soil science, plant science, intro to animal science. And then because my concentration was in pre-veterinary medicine, animal science, I had classes such as organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, physics 1, physics 2, biochemistry, histology, zoology, microbiology, all the ologies basically was my courses.
Cramology, all that. So and it's funny because I was waiting. I was like, I wonder if she's had the ologies, because I know, like, you know, when you talk about people like pre-med, pre-vet, or whatever, they take a lot of those same ologies, if you will.
Right.
But it seems like you're saying, like, when you anything STEM you're going to, whether it's a science in the technology field, engineering, mathematics, you're going to take a lot of core things, that chemistry, biology, physics, right, math typically, you know, and you'll get into the nitty gritty of the very specific niche thing, like the agriculture, the zoology, dealing specifically with animals, right?
Right.
Was it in terms of your undergraduate experience, right? And that was at Tuskegee and your other school, or was that just at one of them?
That was just my undergraduate was at Virginia State.
What do you feel like in terms of Virginia State? Was it the in-class or maybe out-of-class experience that, or the best part of the curriculum that you experienced while being there, studying animal science?
I would say the in-class experience. I had amazing professors. All were amazing. And I think I realized I would say my sophomore year, I didn't realize it till then, that the importance of establishing relationships with your professors, because they are there to help you. And if you don't seek help from them, you know, how will they know that, you know, you're struggling on a certain subject or something that you don't understand? But I want to say all of them, all the ones that I basically had, played a key role in, you know, helping me understand and even guiding me to different suggestions, and even being mentors at the same time on the path that I should take, or the path that they want me, you know, that I want myself to go down.
Awesome. Like you said, like that school experience or that education experience. Like, we know that quote unquote school isn't the only route when it comes to education, but whenever you're learning and the ability to have your particular learning type and learning mode fed to where it's though, like, I might be visual, I might be non-visual, I can hear you, I can be an audible learner, right? But whatever that method is, to be able to feel that you're getting something out of your experience is definitely key. So I'm definitely glad that Virginia State was able to do so. I lost my train of thought. I had another question. Oh man, it happens once every show. It's like I'm rolling, and then all right, give me. Well, it'll come up. But like I was telling you earlier, time goes fast. We're already at the halfway point of the show. Typically around this time, we like to promote a Black-owned business, but instead of a Black-owned business, I'm going to talk about a upcoming program or conference, if you will. So, for those who do not know, the second annual STEM Success Summit is coming up November 19th to the 21st, 2020. This is not Original Man Scientific or STEM Files sponsored the event, but some colleagues of ours will be putting this together. Ms. Naomi Thomas, also a former guest that we had on the show, Dr. Nehemiah Mabry of STEM Media, and other colleagues are putting together this STEM Summit. And so it's going to be a virtual conference designed to equip and empower you to launch and build a successful STEM career with purpose. They're going to be talking about things from the entrepreneurial standpoint, in academia and out of academia, giving life stories and how they've kind of pursued things and kind of equipping you to be the best version of you in STEM. If you are looking to register, it is a free event, completely free. You can just register at STEMsuccesssummit.com. That's STEMSuccesssummit.com. Registration is currently open. Myself and Tariq have already registered and will be present, looking to get all of the nuggets, and hope that anyone who is interested in STEM, a STEM professional, or they want someone else they know to be in it, please go. We're looking forward to having a great time. All righty. Still hasn't come back. We're going to keep it moving now. I want to talk a bit about, COVID. That was the question. So early on in the pandemic, there were questions about whether animals could get COVID and transfer it to their owners and stuff like that, mm-hmm. Right? I don't know if that conversation has progressed, or if the reality of it, because I think they were saying it was kind of low, but now we know that certain animals can actually get it, but in terms of it being transferred, it's kind of low. Have you had any interaction or even just interest in kind of using your expertise in the COVID landscape as it pertains to animals, or just any experience or heard anything as it pertains to that reality?
I haven't heard that much about it. It's usually word of mouth type situation. We just, tell owners, do the necessary, you play with your animals, wash your hands. Right. Don't put them anywhere near your face or anything like that. Just be vigilant of like when you're handling different animals. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, that's good advice. So a lot of times too, I find when you talk about doctors or even certain people in different areas, right? So for me, I currently as an engineer, I work more in the like maintenance and inspection portions of engineering, but then there's also like the design aspect, and things of that nature. Do you hope to specialize as an animal scientist, or will you have like a more holistic approach to things in the emergency and critical care arena? Or like, do you have a holistic background, or are you already specializing in some way, shape, or form?
I think I just want to I want to do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Before I say this is exactly what I want to do. But as of currently right now, emergency that's all me. I'm on the pathway of currently trying to get into internal medicine and oncology, just to see what that's all about and everything like that.
Okay. And you said internal medicine, oncology.
Mm-hmm.
Could you break down for us what those two are?
So oncology is basically having to deal with cancer, basically.
Okay.
So what sparked my interest in that, his personal interest. 2 years ago, I had to put down my 14-year-old dog, and it was completely sudden. It was probably a week prior to us realizing that something was wrong. I noticed he started breathing funny. And so being the vet tech that I am, I said, I'm just going to just try to figure out what's going on before I even take you into work. And then I was like, well, your lungs sound great. Your heart sounds fine. So I said, you should be fine and everything like that. And then it progressively got worse. And something said, just check his mouth for the heck of it. So I was like, okay. And then he was like, yeah, I don't even want you to do that. And I was like, okay, that's something wrong, because I can literally do anything to you. And now you won't let me do this. So when I opened up his mouth, I said, it's like 2:00 in the morning. and I thought was a golf ball sized tumor in his throat.
Wow.
And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I said, yeah, we're gonna go in tomorrow morning. And I told my mom, I said, I don't even want to go to church. I said, we're just going straight to the emergency hospital. She's like, no, let's go to church. We'll go, we'll go after. He's okay right now. He's okay. So I was like, okay. And when my dad was driving to the hospital, to my job, and on my way there, he starts to turn purple and I'm freaking out. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is not good. And by the time we get to the hospital, they had him in the incubation chamber, the oxygen chamber. And by the time I look back over to him, he's completely blue. And I'm like, oh gosh. So, and the doctor that I work one-on-one with, she tries to put a tube down his throat. And she's like, yeah, that's not a tennis golf ball. That's a tennis ball size. And I was completely just freaking out. And she was like, I've never seen something like this. And according to the books, you're just supposed to poke at it and it's supposed to drain. And by the time this is, she's ready to do this, he's out. And she's like, yeah, it's not draining. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then we had a surgeon that usually comes to our hospital on Monday, on the following days, Mondays. And she was like, yeah, he can do the surgery, but we're going to have to basically put a tube down his throat. And the surgery will be tomorrow morning. And at this time, I'm like, do it. I don't care. Just do it. Just do it. And then she's talking to my dad and he's like, what would you do if this is your dog? And she's like, he's 14. I wouldn't even put my dog through this. And I'm like, I was like, I'm not making the decision. I said, that's way out of the question. So that whole entire experience was like, well, let me just try this. I want someone else's pet to be saved. You can't save all of them, but if you try your best, I feel like that's what matters the most.
That's a hell of a story. And I'm sure that's definitely a hard thing to discuss.
Right.
How long ago was this? You said a year?
It was 2 years, October 7th.
2 years, October 7th. Okay. Definitely sorry for your loss. Something that's you're working in. It's one thing, obviously, you have a pet for that long. It's hard, but like you're obviously always working around animals. So I would imagine that off and on, that thought process kind of comes back.
Mm-hmm.
So when you working with animals, right? So I guess, have you had it? Can you talk to us about some of the experiences you had through coursework, or kind of walk us through maybe a day in the life? So like maybe something comes in. What are some things you've seen in terms of ill animals that have come in, and then some of the procedures or like steps you've gone through to kind of address that? Like a couple examples.
So. Like I said, no two cases are alike, but if we have emergencies that come in and they're staying for a certain amount of period, the least staying for a night or even for a couple of hours, we'll go ahead and start catheters in them. If they need any IV fluids or IV injections, we'll place catheters. And then we basically classify them how critical. We always ask owners, if things were to go south, would you want us to perform CPR or do DNR? And CPR, yes, for...
Oh my God. That was my next question. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So DNRs basically do not resuscitate. And some owners do make that. They say, I want my pet to go peacefully. I don't even want to, stress them out or, even try to bring them back if I know that they're going to be suffering if they are brought back. Generally, on other days, we'll have just a surgery day. So that'll be starting first thing in the morning. And depending on how many surgeries, you can be there all day long, or you can be there all day long, or you can get out early. So what I typically do on surgery days, I get all the list of the patients, see what they're here for, make sure everybody has their pre-med drugs, everybody has catheters placed in, look at the list that the doctor provides, make sure that the surgery room is set up, make sure, any necessary additional drugs that they might need during surgery, that's all together. And we just typically, we wait till everybody comes in first and then we do all that stuff.
Awesome. You brought up something I was thinking about, CPR for animals. Mm-hmm. And I never heard of DNR, so do not resuscitate. For everyone, DNR is do not resuscitate. For anyone who didn't know, again, engineering bonehead here. I never really heard of that. So CPR for animals, does it work the same way across the different land animals you may work with? Is it intrinsically different because body parts are just different and everything? Like how does that work? How are you certified for, I guess, CPR for animals in general, or are there even different certifications?
So I actually took a class through my hospital. We actually had a week-long CPR training where we practiced on stuffed animals. Okay. Just to make sure that our hand placement was right, our arms were straight, and they even say, make sure you're doing like a regular steady compression and everything like that. Most doctors will tell you that make sure you're going to the beat of the song "Stand Alive," and that's the rhythm how fast you're going. And then for your larger animals, so for like your dogs and your cats, you're just doing it straight across. And then for like your smaller animals, you're just doing like hand compressions.
Got you. So and also for CPR, in your experience or knowledge, do you only perform that on like mammals? Or like if maybe a veterinarian working with maybe reptiles or other type of animals, they can do CPR as well?
I have never seen it done on a reptile, to be honest. I've never seen that.
Knowing the different types of animals in the animal kingdom and knowing that veterinarians and people in animal science will like work and have to address things for different. So I'm like, is that even a thing? How can it be done? Like,
it might be a thing, but I'm not sure. Typically, we just do CPR like when your dogs are your dog's cats. Sometimes I have seen a CPR being performed on a chicken.
Okay.
I've seen it done guinea pigs, ferrets, but reptiles.
That's awesome. Okay. And I definitely appreciate that. This is just me just rambling on. So like I can be asking things that's completely just in left field. So perfectly fine. Let's talk about so animal and poultry science. I think I might have talked about this a little bit before, but I guess what makes them distinct areas? Like obviously poultry is part of the animal kingdom, right? But it's distinct from animal science. What are some of the things that maybe are either emphasized more in poultry science or are just a different school of thought as it pertains to just general animal science?
I would say when you think about poultry science, generally, the first thing that comes to mind when you think about poultry science, you think about Purdue, like the Purdue Chicken Company and everything like that. And even working with birds or the avian species, chickens in general are very, as I like to say, are very sensitive animals. You can startle them very, very easily and they just kind of kill over and die. So that's something that has always stuck with me with poultry. And I said, when you have to be gentle with them in a nutshell, versus where for other animal species, you're like, you can be, I don't want to say, you can be more, trying to think of the word. I can't even think about it. I'm so sorry. But
No,
for
take it back. You were talking about the chickens and being easily startled and killed or died. You talking about what dealing with them in greater care, something like that.
right. So when you think of when you think of chickens, if one gets ill, you have to, take that one out. And because you have to let yourself, you have to think that, okay, if one chicken is ill and you leave that chicken in there too long, your whole entire flock can get sick. So that's something that you want to prevent. Even when you're working in like poultry industry, they want you to wash in, wash out. They don't want you to bring anything, that you might have something on you. They don't want you to take anything that's out and bring it out to any other animals as well.
Yeah, that's great. You think about it right now, right? We as human beings dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic, wearing masks in public, had social distancing. Notice, like, if one person in the NFL or NFL team tests positive, now you talk about someone who lives or interact in close proximity with other players. So now you shut down activity. Same type of thing with an animal, right? And then these are going to be these are species of creatures, lower brain capacity, so they're going to just kind of continue on as normal, right? Not necessarily going to distance themselves. So you understanding, okay, not only is this chicken or this animal sick, the telltale signs that something is going on, and early enough so I can intervene using that scientific know-how and be able to prolong the life or save the life of the injured and sick one,
Right.
and at the expense of the greater population. So that's awesome. So have you had any experience or when it comes to, like, well, I'll bring it back. So you hear a lot about, people who, when you eat meat or whatever, like, oh, there's a proper way to kill an animal. Like in Islam, you talk about halal, you talk about, products that are like kosher in the Jewish community and everything. Mm-hmm. So the gist of that is there is a way in which, in the Islamic community, we're taught to kill a creature like a cow or whatever to make it suitable for eating. And a lot of one big aspect of it is the animal not feeling stressed before taking it out. Can you kind of speak to maybe on a more scientific level, kind of some of the thought process that may go into why you would want to consume a creature that is in a more calm state than a more heightened state? The stories like down south, you wring the chicken neck and and everything, and you kill it and you chop it up, you eat it. You know what I'm saying? Why may that not be ideal versus kind of stroking the chicken, calming it down, and then a quick kill?
I would say, everybody has their own opinions on how to kill an animal for consumption. Like how certain agricultural organizations feel as though that I feel as though certain animals, you don't want them to be stressed because they're already stressed. They're like, I'm in a new environment. I'm not home. I'm in a trailer, and now I'm in this barn, and I see everything. So when you think about the slaughterhouse, I don't know specifically, what are their specific protocols because I've never been in a slaughterhouse. Right. But there are certain guidelines that they have in place where certain animals are, where they're improving or have already established certain levels of how an animal should be used for slaughter.
Gotcha. Okay. That's key. I know one thing I've always kind of heard on that topic, you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've heard things that pertain to like the adrenaline level, mm-hmm. right? So like you talk about we as human beings, a creature, when you are afraid, startled, scared, stressed, you have this adrenaline that kind of wells up in your body, goes to your bloodstream, that if something else consumes you could potentially make you sick, right? So I think that like when you're talking about the animal sciences and everything, and obviously you're dealing with distressed animals, that level of adrenaline will be high there. So to calm them down, lowering that will even, I would imagine, make it easier to operate on or even deal with that animal versus scurrying around. And I would say maybe similar with the consumption aspect.
Right.
So again, like I was saying, family, we are approaching the end of the show. See how fast that went? so much great content. Thank you so much again for being on with us, family. We have been live on the STEM Files via YouTube and Facebook. Jabrilia Engineer Tariq Cardiac. We are the voice of STEM talent in Black culture every Thursday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please follow us on Instagram at the STEM Files, TheStemFiles. If you are interested in supporting our content as we continue to grow and bring you, again, the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you can support us at Cash App, hashtag the STEM Files. Again, that's Cash App, hashtag the STEM Files. Again, thank you so much. One thing we love to do at the end, and this kind of throws some guests off sometimes, but it's a fun activity. We call it the STEM Files Speed Round. Okay? This is a way for us to kind of get to know you a little bit more outside of your discipline or occupation, and we kind of just ask some questions from there just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So I'm going to bring up a couple, and then we'll see how you do. You nervous?
A little bit.
Don't be nervous. It's all fun stuff. It's all fun stuff. Give me a second. I'm pulling this up. All right, hold on. I think I have it here. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to ask a question. It could be like a statement really quickly, and then you just, as quickly as you can, you give an answer. Nothing deep and whatever. We'll either kind of talk about that for a little bit or kind of keep it moving, okay?
Okay.
All right. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Get on Instagram.
Get on Instagram. Stop doing that. No. I feel it. Okay. Hot or cold?
Cold.
Okay. If you could meet one scientist from the past, who would he or she be and why?
Can it be animal related?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve Irwin, hands down.
Say it again.
Steve Irwin, hands down.
Steve Irwin, and then really quickly educate us on who that is, just so we know.
So Steve Irwin, he was a animal conservationist from Australia. He had a TV show called the Crocodile Diaries and the Crocodile Hunter. When I was young, I used to, coming home from school, his show used to come on at 4:00, I believe, on Animal Planet. And I would just sit in front of the TV and just watch all his shows.
Awesome. Okay. Crocodile Hunter girl. All right. Okay. This one's a hard one.
Okay.
Not really. All right. Baked or grilled?
Grilled.
I like it. Sneakers or boots?
Boots.
Okay. Boot girl. All right. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
I'm about to say, we was going to end the recording right there. Like, if this girl say DC, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Professional research or academic research or volunteerism?
Volunteerism.
Why?
Giving back. There's someone else that needs help.
Right.
So it's always good to go back, bring that person back up, bring that person with you, and then go back for the next person and help them.
Absolutely. Like it. Youth engagement or raising money for your nonprofit?
Youth engagement.
Okay. Why for that one too?
So at my church, I help the youth community. We had our version of children's church. So every Sunday, I would go help kids will learn things about the Bible, just make it fun for them so they don't understand, what the Bible is all about.
I feel you. Okay. Walking or jogging?
Walking.
No. I feel it. Okay, this one. Okay, so me and Tariq always laugh about this one because he's so passionate. iPhone or Android?
Android.
He would love you right now. He would so love you. I'm so mad he's not on the show because I'm an iPhone guy. His only Apple product is an iPad, but he's team Android all the way.
Same here. That's my only Apple product is the iPad.
I feel it. Okay. Favorite thing to cook?
Favorite thing to cook. Corn. Even though it's like really, really simple.
Hey, like sweet corn?
Sweet corn. Like from the farmer's market, sweet corn.
Yellow corn?
Is
that white corn or yellow corn?
White corn.
White corn is so good. Oh Listen, quick anecdote. So when we would have barbecues over my grandmother's house, my mom's side, so we had some cousins who would come out from this farm in New Jersey. They would get the corn. It wouldn't even be shucked and everything yet. From this farm, white corn, so juicy and sweet. It was delicious. It wouldn't even need butter. It wouldn't even need anything.
Right.
Everything and release those natural juices. Forget about it. It was amazing. Okay. Worst job you've ever had?
Ooh, worst job I've ever had.
There's a few. She said, "Ooh."
I don't think I've ever had a worse job. I wouldn't say it was worse.
Okay, I feel it. Okay, so if you were stuck on an island for a year and you could only listen to 3 albums, what would they be?
3 albums. Oh gosh, I don't even know album.
You have to listen. I asked this question about to be impressed because Tariq asked me. I'm like, I listen to song. I'm a dancer. I know music, but I'm not really a big album person.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't pick out albums, but it's okay. Or you can just say 3 songs. You can say 3 songs.
Okay.
Albums.
Okay. So, one album on my I don't know the title, but it was in the early 90s. Donnie McClurkin's album.
Okay.
Another one would probably Hamilton soundtrack.
Okay.
That was tough. And the third one. I have no idea. Not a clue. Not a clue.
All right, it's all good. Okay. Are you a Disney fan?
I am.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
I'll Make a Man Out of You or Eye to Eye from the Goofy movie?
Eye to Eye.
Woo! Listen, that was hard. That was so hard for me because I saw that somewhere else. I was like, but they both go hard. I couldn't do it. Okay. J. Cole or Kendrick?
Kendrick.
Okay. All right. Favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby. Horseback riding and swimming.
Okay, that's cool. Horseback riding. Did you swim competitively?
No.
Okay, I was going to ask. My brother, he swam at Howard. His event was the freestyle and everything. So I was going to be like, okay, that's another swimmer. All right. A couple more questions before we go down. Chris Brown or Usher? I did. That's what I
did. I'm sorry, Usher.
It's okay. Look, I grew up with Usher. Breezy is my guy. Breezy is my favorite artist. Like my favorite artist right now. But Usher, like, you know what I'm saying, that predecessor, like Usher, I grew up with You Don't Have to Call, you know what I'm saying? Get that little You know what I'm saying? I feel you on that though. Okay. All right. Sci-fi or horror for movies?
Sci-fi.
Feel you. I'm not a big horror fan. My wife loves horror. I will watch it, but sci-fi is where it's at. I'm a big Star Wars guy. You know what I'm saying? Okay. If you were not an animal scientist, what would you be?
If I was not an animal scientist, what would I be? Probably a chef.
Okay. Awesome. You gonna make a lot of corn?
Yes.
Hey, okay. We gotta get come to the restaurant and get the corn. All right, last thing. All right. My name is Sheniqua Bynum, and I am
My name is Sheniqua Bynum, and I am a mentor.
awesome. Well, with that, we got to that hour. Thank you so much, Sheniqua, for coming on with me, so sharing a bit about your animal and poultry science history, educating us on what it is, what it means to you. You know, talking to us, real talk about everything that goes into it, and educating what you may need to go into if you're interested in pursuing it. Again, this is the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. To support our content, look below. Cash App at hashtag the STEM Files. We are here again every Thursday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am the brilliant engineer, usually joined by Tariq Cardiac, Sheniqua Bynum. And where can we learn more information about you or contact you if you want more information?
You can contact me on Facebook at Sheniqua Bynum, and I also have an email at the bottom, and it's sheniqua.bynum@gmail.com.
Awesome. And with that, family, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, the brilliant engineer. Peace, family.